Good evening, all. It's Nicolás Eliades here reporting live from inside COP26, the Blue Zone. So what does actually the Blue Zone mean? The Blue Zone is also known as the diplomatic zone, and that is where the negotiations take place. Right through that hall over there is where a lot of the dignitaries went in to give the speeches. The ones you have seen on TV, they happen just over there. And behind me, you will see the stage where the journalists all present and talk about the events of the day. This place is now much quieter than it has been all day long, but this has been up and down, chock-a-block with people from all over the world, just coming here to see what it's about, on one hand, and on the other hand, participate. I'm now going to take you on a behind-the-scenes look at the day of a journalist, how a journalist experienced this. I'll be your accomplice in this little journey to show you different things. If you just look behind me, you'll see here there's live reporting going on. I have tried to set up some chats with some journalists, but of course I can't control where they have to file live, and that's the life of a journalist. They have to be on top of their game and ready for the editor to call them and say, you need to go live, you need to file, you need to send me a story. And of course, remember, this is around the world, so there's time zones all over the place that, need to be serviced. So you'll find that the Japanese team crew will be now ready to file for the 8 a.m. news in Japan. Japan, incidentally, is one of the countries who has not submitted their roadmap to actually meeting net zero by 2050. The day has been rather weak in the sense that there have not been the greatest pledges coming forward. There have not been any real promises that have been fulfilled. India, Prime Minister Modi was here. He pledged to be carbon neutral by 2070, which is just clearly not good enough, and is 20 years less than what Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the United Kingdom has tried to push through. Australia's Scott Morris, on the other hand, is another country that is quite guilty of emitting a lot of fossil fuels, and also one of the biggest exporters of carbon, has simply said, yeah, we noticed that there's climate change. We had fires a couple of years ago, and we need to do better, but no climate pledges. Similarly, President Joseph Biden came with a very ambitious plan, but he didn't actually say what that entails. And if you look at the politics of the United States at the moment, with a Congress in deadlock, as usual, there doesn't seem to be much meat to the bone in those promises. But now, enough politics for a second, and let's just go through the experience. I'm now taking you into the media center. What I find quite striking is that next to the media center, as you enter, is the toilet here. Why am I pointing this out? Because, curiously, after every single person uses the toilet, they wipe it down to make sure you've got that camouflage of a pandemic safety going on. But come 6 o'clock, the people who clean the toilets leave, and then it's... So I guess COVID doesn't bite after 6, right? Now we're going to go straight to the media center. This is where CORE is allowed to come in. And I'm going to see if I can interview a colleague from Kenya. She might be able to give us... We spoke this morning to a delegation member from Kenya, and it might be interesting to actually have a chat with her now. Hi there.
Hello.
Can I have a chat with you? Yeah? So, meet my friend. Yes, it's live.
Oh, okay.
Could you tell us your name, please?
My name is Zena Bwandati. I'm from Kenya.
And what are you doing here?
I'm a journalist from one of the leading broadcasters in Kenya. It's called Nation Media Group.
Nation Media Group. And when did you arrive here?
I arrived on Saturday.
On Saturday. Now, tell me a bit about your experience. How has the whole COP thing been? Has it been what you expected it to be?
I think so far so good. So far so good. I quite liked the statements by the world leaders today. They showed a bit of commitment. My president also was one of those who made statements on, and he called out world leaders for failing to acknowledge the specific circumstance that Africa is in and the impact of climate change on the continent. And I think that creates a good, impetus for what's to happen over the next few days. Sorry, that's the principal secretary in the Ministry of Environment.
See, that's the Minister of Environment of Kenya, and we just
Yes,
interrupt. I'm so sorry.
we just had a live interview with them.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry to interrupt that.
No, it's fine. We had finished. Yes.
And so tell me a bit about, what is Africa facing in terms of climate change? Have you noticed climate change in your country?
Yes, in Kenya specifically, right now the country is in a terrible drought.
Okay.
At least 12 counties are affected. More than 2 million people are facing starvation because of climate change. And that's because the rainy season over the last year, we have 2 rain seasons in a year, and both seasons failed. And right now it's a rain season. It's supposed to be the short rain season, but even that, scientists have projected that it's going to be to have failed. The rains are supposed to end in December, but so far the large tracts of the country haven't had any rain. And this is significant for Kenya because 80% of the landmass is dry. And this is the 80% of the landmass that is yet to receive rain. So the rest of the country survives on the 20% that is agriculturally productive. But even this 20% that's agriculturally productive received a not very impressive long rain season, which ended in March, April, May, which ended in May. It wasn't impressive. And so crop production have been projected to decline by at least 30%. That means the country needs to figure out how we will survive until the next rain season, which begins in March of next year. What people will eat in between here. Secondly, this year, all the lakes in the Rift Valley in Kenya received ridiculously high levels of water, such that some lakes were rising by up to 200%. Thousands of people were displaced as a result. Homes were swept away, livelihoods swept away. And now the country says that this means the maps of the country have to change going forward because nobody knows when these lakes will recede or if they will recede at all. And it's as a result of climate change, largely climate change, as well as the seismic activities along the Rift Valley, which have caused the lakes to rise. So now the maps of the country have to change. We have this thing called Riparian Land, which is the minimum distance or the maximum distance you can live near a body of water. We are not allowed to live near bodies of water.
Oh.
So there's a distance you need to be away from the body of water. This allows for if floods come, you will not be affected. But now because of the rising lakes, the waters went beyond the riparian land and even found people in their homes, places where they were living legally. So these people have to be compensated.
Okay.
They have to be resettled. Where is the country going to get all that money from?
So that brings us to the question of the 100 billion that were pledged by rich countries.
Yes.
And how has that worked out? Have you been on top of that?
From that 100 billion, Kenya is just looking for 62 billion. We need 62 billion of every year over the next 10 years in order to adapt and mitigate climate change. But as a government, as a country, we can only finance 13% of that. The rest of that money is what we are looking for from the world leaders. And that is part of the reason why in the opening statement, our president said she was disappointed that the world leaders failed to acknowledge the special circumstance that Africa faces, which makes the continent very vulnerable and therefore unable to properly adapt or to properly mitigate climate change because we lack the resources. And also, there was also one of the world leaders, I think it was Prince Charles,
yes,
who said countries that are riddled by debt automatically will not be able to properly fund their adaptation needs. Unfortunately, Kenya is one of those countries. We are heavily in debt. And one of the countries we owe a lot of money to is China, which is a big emitter.
Yes.
So what would stop China, therefore, from stop telling us these things you're telling us about climate change? You just support our position in there when we go into negotiating, and we can write off this debt. What will stop China from doing that? Nothing. So as a country, yes, we are vulnerable, but some of the business dealings we have or political relationships we have may stop us from being very aggressive in demanding for what we need, specifically money.
Okay. Well, that sounds very complex. And so, speaking of China, did they say anything?
I think China not being here physically is quite telling.
That's exactly where I wanted to get to. They haven't been here.
It's quite telling. They said they would post a statement on the UNFCCC website on what their position is. But I think them being here physically would have been a lot. It would have
gesture.
meant a lot. It would have been such a big gesture. The US left the Paris Agreement and they returned. The president is here to show commitment. It would have been a really big deal if China had been here, because then we would have been able, rather world leaders would have been able to personally hold them to account, to be able to show greater ambition.
But now, with regards to that, at least China's being honest. They're just not here. They can't be bothered. But, they send Biden here. Biden decides to come, and he makes... What did you think of Biden's speech, actually?
I found it very... It could have been better.
Could have been better.
It could have been better.
Why is it? Sorry.
Because I find it could have been better because a lot of people think that the G20 was more or less a failure. It didn't provide enough groundwork for COP26 to begin, because they kept shifting goalposts. They didn't take a clear commitment to cutting out coal, for example. We would have wanted to see ambition towards 2030, but they spoke about 2050 or thereabouts, which is in 2050. Who knows where the world will be in 2050? The impact of climate change there is irreversible. So ambitions towards 2030 would have made better sense.
Absolutely. So your hope for this COP is? Your jury is out?
My hope for this COP is that people take the countries that are suffering the most seriously. Okay. It is one thing to talk about it, to come here to this meeting and tell you about the impacts that you're facing back home. And it's another thing to actually live through it. It is another thing to have to watch people starve to death because of lack of food as a result of climate change. Those are two completely different things. And we as Africans and other countries that are suffering the most, we feel that the world, the superpowers are not taking it seriously, because in their countries they've got the systems and the checks to stop, to mitigate the impacts and to also cushion communities against serious suffering. In my country, we can't afford to. We rely on the World Food Programme a lot to provide help to the communities that need it the most. And even the World Food Programme recently just said they're cutting their rations in half because even they are financially strained. They can't afford to help everyone. And by the end of this year, the number of people who need help would have risen by nearly 1 million.
Because of climate change.
Because of climate change.
Well, there it is. So the maps are changing in Kenya. There's drought, there's floods. And the leaders are
not taking it seriously.
Not taking it seriously. Well,
yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And I really thank you for the work you do in communicating this to your people and to the country, for just being here on Pop TV.
Thank you. I'm glad I was able to make it.
Oh, this is your home. Whenever you want to join us, please, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
And there you have it, guys. So now I'm going to go into the zone. I need to show my badge here.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
No worries.
And so they're very polite. I must say they're very, very polite indeed. And now I'm going to show you a bit of what this looks like. This is, you've got our own little cafeteria behind us here. And here in this little corner here, we have our exclusives with Prime Ministers who deem that we are worthy to come down to the dungeons, as it were. And you had here, I saw here the Prime Minister Rutte of the Netherlands was speaking here earlier. So now I'm going to take you upstairs to the newsroom. There's also a newsroom here with booths and stuff, but this is more for technical staff and radio over here. You see, it's a huge operation, to be quite honest. Just a few facts. Once again, 3,000 journalists have been accredited. That's the biggest number of journalists ever accredited for COP. Even Paris, which is COP 23 in 2015. And sorry, COP21. And so this means that there's a lot of interest to see actually what has been done in the past 5 years, and with the pandemic in between. So, that just shows that the eyes of the world are on it. Things have certainly changed in the past 2 years because there has never been so much interest in our climate. And thank God for that, because it's about time. This is the media information desk behind us. Hi guys. You don't have to speak, you just say hi. Hi. So, of course, one of the challenges they face to getting people to speak is because they need authorization from their superiors, and they need to be able to speak to people, or they just don't have a right to say anything. I've tried to speak to, obviously, people from the UK government, but there's no one available at this time. Here you just have very tired journalists working away, working very hard in this big, 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 ample newsroom. So now let's go and meet someone from Spain. Buenas tardes. Hola, ¿qué tal? I'm from COP TV News. Can I speak in English?
Whatever you prefer.
Great. So, both of you, I'd love for both of you to be in there. Where are you from?
Country, you mean?
Yes.
Spain?
Spain. And you're here as a journalist for
TV channel called Antena 3.
Antena 3.
Spanish
Okay,
channel.
right. And so, what has the experience as a journalist for you been here?
How you mean, like, from the perspective of news, or like more like organizational, or?
Well, you as a person, first of all, arriving in Glasgow, and then we can go on to the news.
Okay, well, as a human being, it's been quite interesting to see how difficult everything seems to be, like getting access here. I haven't really suffered where a lot of people went through, even just to travel here, because there was a lot of like travel chaos. Like yesterday, a lot of people who tried to come by train, which is the right way to do it when you go to a climate summit. A lot of them had to actually get a last minute flight because obviously things happen, but that has made everything very complicated. This morning, it was like hours to get access if you were from like 9 a.m., which is not even that late. But yeah, if you were there, you would be outside like for an hour. But beyond that, obviously, we understand it's like 25,000 people coming over here. I don't know if it could have been done in a different way. I'm slightly surprised about the fact that it's only one entrance for everybody, unless you're a leader. And maybe it would have been easier if there were like two accesses, maybe.
I felt it. You know, it felt almost like they were trying to get us to get herd immunity.
Well, yeah. That's what I think. I mean, you come here with your antigen, and then you have to like keep social distance, and then they were there like sardines in a tin. So.
Yes, we were, weren't we? Do you happen to have the kit they gave us when we came in?
Well, I do not have it because I saw a massive queue, and I was thinking I'll do it at some point. But it's just there are queues everywhere. So obviously, if you're a journalist and you're all the time with a deadline just hanging over your head, the last thing you can do is actually waiting for half an hour just to be given a kit when you actually have it yourself. Because obviously, we all have hand sanitizer, we all have, you know, like masks, obviously, and we have to do the antigen test.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, I don't want to take any more time. Are you finding a story now?
I am, yeah. I'm always.
Oh, you always find. What are you writing about? Can you tell us?
Oh, it's just a summary of the day, basically.
And how did you see the day? How did it politically and is there hope?
Well, there has to be hope always, but the main problem I would say is that there are great words from everybody. But then I haven't heard anything that makes me believe that 1.5 degrees this century will be possible, because we're already in 1.2. And yeah, they all say it's important, like action, doomsday. Yeah, but what are we doing? I mean, what are you guys doing? I haven't heard anything that makes me hopeful, but I understand that this is mainly like headline. The important thing will be behind closed doors. And that's what we have to hope. We have to hope for the best. But obviously, it's a lot of economic interest and national interest, and like the political cycles, they are like this all the time, whereas the climate is a very long-term thing. And you know, politics is all about short-term, economics is all about short-term. And that is the problem. That gap will have to be bridged, but, you know, good luck.
Good luck to us all.
Good luck to them initially. Our future is there, and for the first time, you know, I think that all of us were reporting on something
This was
that
Boris Johnson said at the end of the speech.
Sorry.
Good luck for all of us.
Yeah.
Was the end of the speech of Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Good luck to all of us. That's like the Titanic sinking. Well, guys, thank you. Muchísimas gracias por vuestro tiempo.
Gracias.
Y os veré por acá.
Absolutamente. Cuídate
Venga.
mucho.
Venga, hasta luego. So, guys, that was the Spanish reporters from Antena 3, which is an important TV channel. And next to her was a journalist from Radio Nacional Española. And now I'm going to take you to the little studios that are at the back and introduce you to some more journalists to see how their experience has been. And it'll be brief because we only have 7 minutes left. This time has gone with you. It always goes so fast. Thank you for your company. And do remember to tune in tomorrow at COP26.tv at 12 o'clock for the morning COP and COP Out. And let's just meet some friends from, who do we have here? How about Scotsman, which is one of Scotland's top dailies. Let's see if there's anybody in here. Hello? Hi.
Hello.
Hi there. Hi. Good. Could you tell us your name for the...
Hi there, so I'm Hannah Brown, a live reporter for The Scotsman here in the press event with COP26 TV.
And how's the experience been as a Scots person? How has the experience been? How do you feel? It's in your country, it's, you know...
Mhm.
Do you feel... First of all, you're proud of how your country's organised?
So yeah, it's an interesting experience. I'm Glaswegian myself, so I'm based here. There's been a lot of kind of discontent for some kind of Ouijies in Glasgow. I mean, some people don't like the term Ouijies, but a lot of Glaswegians are quite, not so sure about it, how it's going to achieve, what it's going to achieve for the city. But kind of being here today, it's been pretty amazing to have a global event come here and a pretty meaningful event for climate and the environment. I've been talking to a lot of Glaswegians today who have been saying, yes, it's been one of those things where they are a wee bit, not so sure of what's going to happen, but they're trying to be hopeful. And obviously today was quite performative with the leaders just coming in and opening up. So we'll just have to see what happens, and we'll have to see what comes of
I
it.
like that. It was quite performative, you know, and we shall see what happens at the end of this performance.
Yeah.
Right? Do you have any hopes for it? High hopes?
Oh, well, I hope the people of Glasgow are treated well during it, and I hope, that we see more involvement as well. That would be good. We've seen it's great to see everyone from across the world kind of come in here, but it would also be good to have more Glaswegians talk at the event and speak to us too.
Okay.
That's what we're wanting at the Scotsman anyway, because we're a Scottish paper. So yeah, that's what we're hoping for.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much
very
for
welcome.
I must say that Scots people have been the most gracious hosts.
Oh,
Everyone's
great.
so kind, so lovely. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you very
chatting to
much.
us.
Thank you for your time.
No worries at all. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Best of luck to you guys. To the world, I must say. Thank you. Bye. So, guys, I think we have time for one last hello to the National Observer of Canada, shall we? And see what they have to say. Good evening.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
We're just on our way.
2 minutes is all I'm going to ask you for, because I'm going to... Yes?
All right, sure.
Okay. So, you guys, where are you from?
We are from all over Canada. We have sort of a national newsroom.
Okay. And you're the National Observer?
Canada's National Observer,
Okay.
yes.
So, it's a daily?
It's an online publication. It is a daily.
And you guys just arrived, eh?
Yes, we did. We flew yesterday, kind of all day and all night, and tried to sleep, and then made our way here, and we're staying in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh. So now you've got to
Yes.
trek all the way back to Edinburgh.
Yes, we do. So it's a bit of a haul.
Oh, my. Well,
Yes.
I don't want to keep you.
That's
No.
okay. It's all right.
Do you have any great hopes for this conference?
Well, one can always be optimistic. We've heard some of it before, but there are some promises being made, and I think urgency being felt. So perhaps.
I've been seeing a lot of Canadian Indigenous folk coming here to also appeal to the fact that, Indigenous people are guardians of the land, and that Canada seems to go against that reality. Do you have any comment on that at all?
I think Indigenous people definitely feel that way, and I think that Canada is trying for greater reconciliation. I don't personally think they've probably gone far enough. I think Indigenous people care about the land and climate. They don't like pipelines. We're a extraction-based economy, so I think we have a ways to go.
Wow, I think we all have a ways to go. To be honest.
For
I don't want to
sure.
keep you guys from getting back to
All right.
Edinburgh. Thank you very much. And say hi to the camera. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye. Sorry. You see it all shakes when you knock into it. It's very, very flimsy. So there's a lot of signs on the doors that say push, don't pull, because when you pull too hard or you push, it feels like the whole place is going to come down. And that's about all we have time for today, my friends. Thank you very much for joining me. Just to recap on what's happened today, you've had the world leaders doing a rather performance here. Just showing the world that they care, or not. China just didn't come. Prime Minister Modi of India said it'll be net zero by 2070. That's great. And then you've also got President Biden, who all bark no teeth, essentially, it seems what it is. So the sensation here is lots of hard work, lots of people, lots of sweat, lots of queues, and not enough moolah, you know? But we're just beginning in this adventure, and let's see where it takes us. And you'll be right by my side throughout this whole thing. And this is the behind-the-scenes look at what the life of a journalist is like at COP. Not as cushy when you get an all-access pass, because it actually, you can't get into the room where it happens. But I will try my damnedest to get you into that room. Until tomorrow, this is Nicolás Eliades, signing off for COP26.tv. Join us again for COP In, COP Out tomorrow at 12. Thank you.